NDP. Yeah, you can blame it on the NDP. Well, we got them in. We let them go in. It's our fault. We created this, eh?
But we voted for it.
We created it. I'll take some responsibility for it, but very, 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 very little, because I'm still not really acceptable to society as far as most people are concerned. Won't give.
Climate change is not the problem out here. It's not what created these forest fires. Yeah, that's good coffee. It's weird how the fire it jumped, eh? Like this piece got missed and then it goes around, it's all back there, it's down on the other side, but there's lots of little islands that just didn't get hit. Now, of course, you got to start watching for bugs. I'm sure we can spot a couple. I hope we don't. Yeah, here's exactly what I'm talking about, is what takes place. So you got blowdown that's created from our harvesting. You got the bark beetle that's gone in here, and now it's spreading into the standing timber. So it's just, it's one problem after another. This is the reason I'm out here walking this right now, to, you know, figure out what our next plan is. Can't leave it. You leave that, and there again, it's like cancer. So we're gonna start spreading. So right now we've identified 2 blowdown with bark beetle, 1 tree that's already hit, and God only knows what else. Well, last summer, they had a wildfire that started in Adams Lake, and because of our mismanagement within BC Wildfire Service, they'll say otherwise, but we all know what it is. It managed to escape from Adams Lake and come all the way over to the Shuswap and burn up thousands of hectares. A lot of people lost their homes, businesses, lots of private timber. So it was anything but good. Climate change is not the problem out here. It's not what created these forest fires. Mismanagement is what has created these fires that are out of control. We never had these issues years ago. Even 10 years ago, we didn't have these problems. A fire is like cancer. If you don't jump on it and respond with all your resources instantly, it spreads. But they lay back at that office and they just twiddle their thumbs. Reason being, every one of those red shirts in that office is making bank on overtime. So how do you have a company in charge of fighting fires that is making money and profiting from the fire? You need the stakeholders of the land, be it First Nations, the loggers, the ranchers, the miners, the people that are making their living from the trees. Fire Center is making their living from fires. Yes, I'm getting excited over this because it pisses me off and I'm sick of it. The North Shuswap would never have survived if it wasn't for the likes of the Bischoffs in particular that stood their ground, stayed behind, and fought. And they were shit on. They were cut off food, they were cut off absolutely everything. They were told basically to stay on your own property. They fought, they protected this. There are 4 generations of them out here. They protected what they believed in. And they're the reason we didn't lose this whole community. But we've lost thousands and thousands of hectares in the last 10, 15 years because of the way we're mismanaging our fire protection. You know, we can give money, our government can hand money to foreign countries. We can give free drugs to drug addicts on the street. We can give free health care, but we can't look after our natural resources? They're afraid. They're afraid of fire. They're afraid of fire behavior, yet they're trained in it. Like, it's pretty sad when they lose their own fire camp. What does that tell you about their management? There is some crews that are just fantastic. They know what they're doing. They're good to work with. I mean, they're essential to have. You need your ground crews. But when you get some kid that all of a sudden says, I'm going to do a backburn at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when he's read the weather report and he knows high winds are coming? What are you thinking, man? Like, if that was your parents' house just down the street, would you do it? I don't think you would. But you're not from here, so you don't care. You're just going to light her up, and then they're going to put you in a bus and get you the hell out of BC afterwards. No repercussions. So, fuck those guys. When that little fire started on Adams Lake, and they said, well, we're going to monitor it. No, stop monitoring. Get out and put it out. So, if I had a little fire on my block, am I just going to monitor it and just tell my bush boss, no, we're just monitoring it. We're going to continue to cut trees though, but we're going to monitor this fire. No, it's called, Brent, you shut down, you call the right people, and we're putting this thing out. There's no pissing around. Like our fire preparedness, we're on it weekly, documenting, testing our pumps, our equipment, making sure that our equipment is in good order, our tanks are full, our pumps are working, we do mock drills, we have a proper response plan, and we have to. Because the problem is, unlike the government, is they're not liable for anything. Whereas Brent Lebeau, if he starts a fire, oh, look out. Like my little $5 million policy I have to fight fire will be ate up in no time. So I cannot afford to take a chance. This is kind of the residential area of, it's the lower portion of the properties that we've been logging. And this area, it really got hammered hard. And this whole subdivision, as you can see, the houses that are still here, they're all kind of, the homes are built up kind of in the timber. And I believe they're roughly under 150 homes that were burnt. The whole lower strip, which we refer to as the birdhouses, they're all gone too. And it's kind of sad because Craig and I both went to the school up here, and I remember those birdhouses as a kid. It was a nice little subdivision. I mean, you can just imagine it was all treed in just like the other side. So these people have been out of a home now for almost a year. Yeah, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it was totally avoidable.
And now, you know, in my opinion, that North Shuswap area, it's full of fir, over-mature, lots of over-mature fir. It's beautiful. Mark my words on that. The next 3 to 5 years, there'll be another big fire up the North Shuswap there and wipe out a bunch more houses and people's livelihoods. Say what they want about these fires, but do you tell me why lightning strikes twice in the same spot? Or, I mean, Cologne is a perfect example. Why has there been fires down there the last 10 years, like steady? Just when you think, okay, there'll never be a fire in Cologne in our lifetime again because it's all burnt, boom, another 200 or whatever hectares or 20,000 hectares burns up and burns down another 100 homes. Mother Nature's got a plan there, and you're not stopping her. I mean, we could slow her down and kind of direct her a little bit if you have proper management, which we don't in BC wildfire at all.
When this fire became out of control because of the government's backburn, they wanted to evacuate everybody, but a lot of these locals stayed behind, and that's when the Ministry of Forests pulled right out and basically said that because of the locals staying behind, they were creating a problem to fight the fire. And what the locals did, they were solving the problem that Fire Center created for them. They went to the extreme where they tried to keep them at their own property. They had cops patrolling. They had people out on the water, like cops on the water, because they were bringing supplies over by boat and they were turning people back by boat. They had roadblocks. You couldn't get in or out of here. But I mean, the locals, they know the area, they know the back roads, so on and so forth. But They tried to make it impossible for these locals to be here, but the government got their ass handed to them because these locals, nobody knows the land, the lay of the land better than they do, and they proved them wrong. But to the day, anybody at Fire Center will still say that the locals were the problem, which is just absolute bullshit. I got no use for those kids at Fire Center.
The fires haven't changed. The way we manage the fires has changed. And getting into that conversation, they need to change that back and let industry deal with these fires. Instead, you get a bunch of kids from town that come out here. Some of them aren't even from our country, and they come out here. And I've got no business coming out here. This isn't my backyard. And telling anybody how to fight a fire in Alberta. I don't. But I'll sure as hell listen to the 80-year-old farmer that's born and raised on this piece of ground. That guy knows exactly when the wind's going to change, where it's going to change, what type of wood, where the water is, where the fences are, where the roads are. He'll tell you everything you need to know to stay safe and be successful putting out a fire. You get some of these kids from not even in this country come out here and they tell us how to fight a fire. No, you're not putting it out that way. Like, just turn it back to the individuals in the areas. We need fire wardens again. Is what we do. Every 5 kilometers or whatever, have a fire warden. It's, a local 50-year-old plus man or woman that's born and raised, that knows and is watching and gives a shit about their own backyard. These guys that are coming from out of country and whatnot, do you think they're here to put a fire out? Not a chance. They're here for a paycheck.
We were over on the other side of the lake still logging while this was taking place over here, and I was listening to the local radio station, and it was a Salmon Arm radio station, and I give that radio announcer a lot of credit. And there's not many guys that will stand up for people on a public radio channel such as that Patrick Riley did on that Salmon Arm radio station. And he had people interviewing people from provincial emergency response that were doing the same thing. They were just belittling these locals. And Patrick stood up and said, so you're telling me that a 19-year-old kid, basically fresh out of school, has more experience than the local rancher, the local logger, so on and so forth? Like, he really called this lady from government or ministry out, which was good. It was good to see.
Last year on that North Tree Swamp fire, you look at the lineup of men, real men, that took charge of that. They got trouble for it, but they took charge of their own backyards. They put the fire out. Those were men. And some of those men were in their 70s, but they knew what it took to make things happen. Yeah, those are real men, those boys.
There would have been twice as many homes lost if these locals hadn't have stayed behind. Absolutely. It's just a bunch of bullshit. The media is told what they can and cannot air. Majority of the media, they were making the locals look like they were the problem, which is exactly the opposite. They were the solution to the problem. The locals saved everything out here. They're the real heroes out here, the locals. You know why the guys at Fire Center don't have children, eh? Because every time things get hot, they pull out. That word is used so common on a fire. Pull out, pull out, pull out. Here's the next problem. 2017, Craig and I had all of our equipment on the Elephant Hill fire. We had our own RPF, who has more experience fighting fires than 3/4 of the guys in at Fire Center. Had our own RPF running line. I had my own safety guy, had my own safety manuals made. We were one of the most safest, efficient crews out there. Our RPF had us starting in the bush at 5 a.m. in the morning and fighting fire. That's when you're supposed to fight it. In the morning or at night. What happens in the morning and at night? Things calm down. You can get a handle on it. You can feel right now, we're pushing on 9 o'clock. What do you feel in the air? Wind. So anyways, we did this for roughly 3 weeks on that fire, and we put a lot of guard in. We were quite successful doing it. mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good people out there that fight the fires. But anyways, by about week 3, we were deemed unsafe. Unsafe. So from that point, we were told to be at the marshalling area at 6 a.m. in the morning. My time clock for my equipment started at 6 a.m. Started. Full hourly rate on all my equipment. I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting at the marshalling area in a meeting, loading up on free breakfast and free lunch and whatever other supplies we needed. So we'd piss around there till about 7:30, follow their crew out. Hour and a half later, we're in the bush, so now it's 9 o'clock. Now they get their shit together by about 10. The wind is starting to pick out. We go out on the front line, we get maybe 2 to 4 hours in, pull out. There's your day. And you wonder why this takes place. Fight the fire at night with experienced operators. The people that they put on these fires, they're there for one reason. They're there for a paycheck, easy money. You get paid full hourly rate to sit in a marshalling area. And we're talking, you know, a D7 or a D8, we're talking $250 to $350 an hour for a 12-hour day to sit. So you wonder why these people that have no business actually being on a fire say the right things, kiss ass. It's so political out there, it would make you sick. But heaven forbid if Craig and I say, listen, you're doing it wrong. And maybe those are the words we're using that we shouldn't use. Devastating, isn't it? You look at that whole mountain just gone. And it was all avoidable, 100%.
I burned the BC Wildfire Service Bridge. I burned it right down. I said something along the lines of, you guys couldn't organize a gang bang in a Hoover house, is what I said right on the radio, and it's true. And I stick to those words until they change management, how they fight fires. I will stick to those words. I don't give a fuck. Any fire that we've gone on to and taken control of before wildfire gets there is out. You know what? And like I've always said, hit it with everything you have. Everything. Like early in the season, get a fire, hit it. Bring 200 firefighters up here and 18 pieces of equipment and hit it and surround that thing with equipment and hit it with hoses until it's done and work it 24 hours a day till it is done. And then leave 2 people behind with a water tank or a bladder that's full of water. And leave them there and monitor it. Get to the next one and hit it as hard as you can. Because once they get big, you can't hit them hard enough. They just go like this. And you're not just going one way trying to get around the front of the fire, it just goes like this. And then when you do kind of get a guard around the outside, there's unburnt shit on the inside of the fire that lights up. And if you catch a wind, then across the guard, you gotta hit those fires hard and fast. And like, oh man, I could make so much difference if they just let me. There's lots of us that could.
Couldn't you guys put together a unit type thing?
And they talked about it. But BC Wildfire wants to run it. Well, they couldn't run a sharp stick up a dead dog's ass most of the days. So if they gave us the direction of their people and their resources, we could really make it work. And I could list names of loggers, good loggers. They don't even have to be good loggers, just loggers. A bad logger, a terrible logger is better than a good BC Wildfire Service guy. And there's some good ones of those too, don't get me wrong. And there's some hard workers, but the system is...
Sure they'd agree.
Hey?
I'm sure those guys would agree with you.
They do. A lot of those BC Wildfire guys agree, but their hands are tied. And now apparently we get kicked off fires for voicing our opinions and putting fires out. Well, we've started fires. I've started 7 or 8 fires over the years. And it's in our little playbook there. It says something about making phone calls when you start a fire. Call off. My priority is put that son of a bitch out. Once I get in there and see what's going on, then I can make a split decision, or our group can make a split decision if we need help or not. And we had one that we did ask for help, but by the time help got there, we didn't ask no questions. It got right up against the park. We just went and put a guard in, and we had our water tanks going. And when BC Wildfires showed up with 30 pickups, with a bunch of kids standing there looking like they'd just left town for the first time, it was done. It was over with. It was like the guard's in. It's knocked down. Now we're gonna have to danger tree it. I said, I'll take my bunchers in there right now, and I'll do 2 tree lengths both sides of it. And you'll be safe. Get in there with your hoses. Oh no, we have a system. Well, we have a system. Politics, we have a system. Sound like Guido from Ritchie Brothers. You gotta buy into the system. Not buying into it.
So do you see this changing ever? Because it seems politically like they're using it to their advantage.
Well, they are. I don't see why would it change. It creates jobs. That's what the way they look at it. They're not firefighters. They're fire watchers.